I guess one of the things I didn't like about Adventism is you really couldn't say these things that I'm saying right now in polite Seventh-day Adventist society, just like you couldn't in most of Orthodox Jewish society either. So I'm not. But yeah, I was thinking from age 14 on, 1,000 times more about getting laid than getting saved, and that was what was on my mind, and it was just so much more visceral and so much more important in what I would think about at night. I wasn't worrying about my salvation. I was worrying about losing my virginity, and so I only came back to God and religion when I got really sick, and I couldn't go out and chase women, and so only then did I start to pay attention to God. Prior to getting sick, all I wanted to do was get laid, which I didn't. I didn't get laid till I was almost 22, which is really pathetic in that it was all I was thinking about basically from age 14 onward. And so that was really pathetic.
That may be one thing that might have caused it to take so long.
Yeah, that was all I was thinking about. Yeah, I'm sure other people are much more well balanced than I am. So that really affected me.
Oh, I can.
More than all the theological disputes. I got pretty blasé about my dad's theological disputes by about age 15, and I was only disappointed in that they didn't get me laid. I figured like it's Desmond Ford's son, I deserve more.
But by the time,
sorry, Dad.
But by the time you were at a point at which that would have started to be likely, you were in public school, right?
Yeah, but I was so stunted by my upbringing. I was so emotionally and socially retarded by my upbringing that I couldn't act on it.
But I think what I'm saying is, since you're in public school, nobody knows who Desmond Ford is.
Right? Yeah. That's a good point. I probably would have
celebrity status.
I had much more status when I'd go, on weekends and summers back to Pacific Union College.
Yeah.
But public school, nobody
Desmond who?
It was like nothing. It was like, nobody wanted to make out with me even for, which kind of sucked.
And given how caught up you were in that, I think that probably answers the question that was occurring to me as we were talking about this before. But given that, did you take time to think about the fact that the controversy and the kind of powerful identity of your dad that had to have been so central to everything you've been experiencing the past few years really were utterly irrelevant in this public school setting? Did you take time to think about that, or were you so...
I just felt lost. It was like I went from being the center of the world with being Desmond Ford's son to being totally out on the periphery, being nobody. And in the course of a summer. In the course of the summer of 1980, I went from feeling like I was in the center of the world to totally lost. And my freshman year of high school, I had a D+ average. I was so miserable.
How did... well, I have to think for parents who were culturally as conservative as yours, that there has to have been, it has to have been a somewhat wrenching experience to put you in a public school. I presume it was just that they concluded that your being in an Adventist school would subject you to so much crap that it was better for you to not...
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't send me to an Adventist school in 9th grade, and they probably would have if I'd asked, but I didn't ask. I just didn't even think in 9th grade. 9th grade, they sent me to a non-denominational evangelical Christian school. And I did really badly there, like a D average, and I was so unhappy. And in 8th grade, I decided that journalism would be my thing. And the local public school I learned had a journalism class. And this happened, so this is the summer of 1981 now, going into 1982, and my parents had made a big financial mistake. They bought 2 homes. They thought they'd be able to sell one, and suddenly interest rates are 20%. No. They're totally financially squeezed and they're screwed. And so when I was lobbying to go to public school, and they were just squeezed to the bone financially.
No money for private school.
Yeah. So then okay, you can go to you can go to public school, and so that's, probably had. I was pushing for it, and they had no money.
Yeah.
That's probably how it happened. If I pushed to go to Adventist school, but I never did. So, then I ended up in public school, and that totally changed my life. It was like from being in a Christian cocoon to where religion, you weren't allowed to preach religion at school.
Right.
It's totally different. So that started me on my path.
I mean, in adolescence, I suppose for most of us, probably the defining characteristic of adolescence is that one wants to avoid one's parents as much as possible. But
yeah, my mother says I basically didn't speak to her while I was an adolescent.
So I think, again, that answers the question that was occurring to me, but I just sort of wondered whether your parents did or were able to do or tried to do anything to sort of help you navigate this completely alien experience, or were they just too caught up in their own stuff?
Yeah, they did everything they could, and we still went to church every Sabbath, but I would lie on Friday nights. I'd tell my parents I was going to a Bible study, and I'd go to run it. We lived about a mile and a half from the school, so I'd tell them I was going to a Bible study, and then I'd go run off to the basketball game, and I'd cover it for the local newspaper. Which they didn't read. And so, so I was always going to these Bible studies. I'm just going over to my friend's house, and I'd run off to school. And so they were oblivious, and I guess they were just oblivious, and I guess they got a bit of a shock. Graduation was on Sabbath morning, and I wanted to go, and they didn't want me to go, but they let me make the decision because I was now 18, so I went. And then a week after graduating high school, I moved back to Australia with my secular brother Paul, and quickly stopped going to church, and threw it all over. And
how much older is Paul?
He's 7 years older.
And is he still in Australia?
Yeah.
What does he do there?
He owns a plant nursery.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, so he's not intellectual. He doesn't worry about theological issues. He's an atheist or agnostic.
Are you the only literary kid? Or,
Yeah. My sister's a lawyer, but she's not.
It's the same skill set, but she's not intellectually curious.
She's not super intellectually curious. She's more pragmatic.
And where is she?
She's in Brisbane, Australia. So she's very big supporter of my dad. So she'll give talks making a lawyer's case for the resurrection.
Okay.
Okay. Stuff like that.
So religiously, she's much more where he is.
Yeah, she adores my father, and she's religiously where he is. Well, his two sons are as far away as possible.
In rather different directions.
Different reactions, but very similar in that we both ran as far away as possible from the way we were raised religiously.
It's one hates to be overly simplistic, but I wonder how gendered that is. I have to suspect. I think it's just stereotypically the case that parents' relationships with children of the same sex are more complicated than their opposite sex children's relationships, and so your dad's the strong personality in the family. The boys run off in opposite directions, and the daughter is. Daddy's girl. Yeah. How old is she?
She's 11 years older than me,
so
she's 52. Yeah. So it was only when I got sick that I started coming back to God, but it never. It did occur to me to try to go back to the religion I was raised, because it occurred to me because that's what Judaism taught. It says if a non-Jew comes trying to convert, you turn them away, suggest that they return back to the religion in which they were raised. So I became enamored with Judaism, but Judaism taught that I should go back to the religion I was raised.
Right, because Judaism has never had the sort of commitment that almost all Christian communities have to the view that really identifying with this community is the only legitimate path.
Right.
Judaism has had a much more vocational sense of what it is to be part of this community. And